So today we will continue our discussion on profitability and return. So under this broad category of ratio, we have a particular ratio which is called the gross profit margin or GPM. So how do we compute this GPM? The gross profit margin can be computed by the gross profit divided by the revenue multiplied by 100 to convert this into a percentage. So when analyzing the gross profit margin, there are certain things that we need to consider and to take into account. So for instance, we need to consider the sales price, the price at which the product is being sold, sales volume, which is the total number of items being sold, as well as the sales mix. And this is where you have different products being sold. So this is what we call the sales mix. The other thing that we need to consider is the purchase price as well as the related costs of purchase. And finally, we need to consider the production costs. So when we want to analyze the gross profit margin, we need to take into account these three aspects: sales price, sales volume, sales mix, purchase price and related costs, and finally, production costs. The next ratio under this category of profitability and return is what is referred to as the net profit margin. So how do we compute this net profit margin? The formula to compute the NPM or the net profit margin is net profit divided by revenue multiplied by 100. So again, why do we multiply by 100? This is to convert the figure, the absolute figure that we get, into a percentage. And likewise, with gross profit margin, when we analyze the net profit margin, there are certain aspects or factors that we need to consider. For instance, we need to look at the selling or distribution expenses in relation to sales levels. So what do we mean by this? So in order to achieve the sales target, we have to incur certain overhead expenses. More specifically, what are the selling or distribution expenses that we incurred in order to achieve this sales level? And the other aspect of overhead expenses come under the category of administrative expenses. This could include things like salary, rent, utility expenses, so on and so forth. This would be considered as administrative expenses. So I repeat, when analyzing the net profit margin, we need to take into account sales and distribution expenses in order to achieve the sales target or sales figure, and also the administrative expenses, which is made up of all expenses